Hey guys and girls, Nathan Birch here from the B.Invested headquarters, and today just getting on the theme of tax and accounting. How can you save on your tax, and what is the importance of a depreciation schedule, and how does the depreciation schedule work? So I wanted to make a few videos around the tax, just given the fact that it's tax time again, and whilst I'm not your accountant or a tax specialist, as an investor myself, always looking at ways of how I can minimize my tax, but also expand my position. And when it comes to tax, there's the three elements that I talk about. You want to minimize your tax, as well as expand your asset position and increase your cash flow. Being able to do all three of those things is really impossible for a lot of people, and for most accountants, they can't get their head around it. For us at B.Invested, my investors, that's what we work along. Our accountants, Ridwan at One Path Accountant, and all the other team at One Path Accountants, specialise in being able to help investors be able to achieve such results. So, a lot of people ask me, depreciation schedules, are they worth it? How does it work, etc. I personally never buy a property due to the fact of a tax deduction. The tax deduction is purely and merely a benefit of acquiring the asset. The asset must be producing income, must be picking up below market value, and it must be picking it up with an upside for capital growth. Now, if it ticks all those elements, and it may be a new property as well, properties that were built after 1990 would come with a tax deduction over 40 years of a building write-off. So if the property, this is just, remember guys, this is just for educational purposes, it ain't exact. You need to speak to an accountant regarding it. This is just in basic principle. Let's assume that the property cost $200,000 to build, and there might have been, $30,000 worth of fixtures and fittings inside the property. Now, over the first matter of a few years, you can claim those fixtures and fittings in the building, but over the period of 40 years, the ATO allows you to claim a portion of the build. So if it was a $200,000 build and you were to claim it over 40 years, you could possibly claim $5,000, which is 2.5% over 40 years. So basically the cost of the building divided by 40 years, and that can offset your tax. So if you're buying a property which is neutral cash flow, so let's assume that it's a $200,000 purchase and it rents for $300 per week, it's just for random exercise. That means that you'd be getting $15,000 a year in rent. Assuming that on a $200,000 loan at 5% interest, it's being high, you'd be paying $10,000 a year in interest and $5,000 a year for council, water, strata, real estate agent fees as a neutral cash flow property. How can you turn that property into positive cash flow? If that property is only 10 years old, then there would be tax benefits there in the format of depreciation that you could claim against the property and offset against your taxable income. So assuming that it's a $200,000 build, that is what it would cost to build, you need to do something called a depreciation schedule, which would be getting a quantity surveyor out there, valuing up what the cost to build would be, and then you taking that depreciation schedule to your accountant in order to offset against your tax. So if it was a $200,000 divided by 40 years would be $5,000 a year against your assessable income. That meaning that if you're on 100 grand a year, suddenly that property is still neutral cash flow, but you wouldn't be paying tax on $5,000 worth of income, so you'd be paying $95,000 tax on $95,000 income. If you had 10 of those properties, they would be neutral cash flow, they'd be below market value, they'd have upside for capital growth, you'd be making money in all elements. However, you'd be halving your tax bill by having 10 of those properties with $5,000 tax deductions. That meaning that you would be paying tax on 50 grand a year. If you're paying 30% tax on your income, 30% tax on 50 grand is $15,000 a year that you will be saving. So these things do add up, do need to be factored in. I always look at them as a bonus, not as the cause for purchasing a property. That's how people get suckered in from a lot of spruikers and people out there that are out there to, sell things for wrong reasons and whatnot. Be very careful. You need to understand how is a property. This is a question I tell everybody. Ask yourself when acquiring an asset, how is this asset going to help me achieve my goals, and how's it going to help me get closer to where I need to be? If you can't answer how's it going to help you along your journey, and not in a negative way, well then, you need to question whether you should be acquiring that asset. So if you need help on working out a strategy for your portfolio, if you need help on working out a tax strategy or a finance strategy, hit me up, speak to my team, 1300 367 925, or email us at admin@binvested.com.au. Thanks guys, bye for now.